It's the Midday News. The news is live on Joy 99.7 in Accra, on Love 99.5 in Kumasi, and on myjoyonline.com. We're also live in all 16 regions of Ghana. We're also live on X Spaces and Facebook. The Midday News is supported by Petrosol, your clean fuel in full quantity. Petrosol, always a delightful experience. Also brought to you by Duraplus Ghana Limited, producers of quality PVC and HDPE pipes, and Water Tank, the only water storage tank with a level indicator where Duraplus goes, water flows. Coming up, administrative and government activities halt nationwide as CLAG embarks on a strike demanding implementation of new salary structure.
All staff of the civil service and the local government service should stay away from work until further notice. Similarly, all cluster secretariat offices are closed. Kindly take note and comply accordingly. This is the decision that has been taken by our National Executive Council.
Well, we'll bring you an update on a meeting with the Labour Commission this afternoon that is expected to resolve CLAG's concerns. Also coming up, the Attorney General's office fights accusations of incompetence and dishonesty as parties in the ambulance trial takes case to the Court of Public Opinion.
A clear sign of ineptitude and incompetence on the part of the Attorney General in presenting this case to the court.
I can say without any fear of equivocation that if you look at the ages that we have in Ghana, if it's not the best, it may be one of the best.
Meanwhile, the third accused, Richard Jakpa, petitions the Chief Justice as he alleges unfairness and abuse of rights by the trial judge Ithia Sewa Bochi.
Enumerated all the instances of biasness, abuse of my human rights, denying me legal representation, and even the right to even visit the washroom.
Also, Cement Manufacturing Development Committee to revoke license of manufacturers who fail to comply with pricing requirements as provided in newly laid LI when it becomes law.
For the manufacturers, your license can be revoked. It can be suspended if you do not report. And what I am pushing for as chairman of the Cement Manufacturing Committee are two things: transparency in pricing and transparency in quality.
We have details of that in sports.
Reigning Footballer of the Year, Mohamed Kudus believes he is still far from his best, despite his outstanding first season in England.
And later, Ghanaian chef Ebenezer Smith's world record claim debunked as fake by Guinness World Records, turning culinary triumph into a recipe for disaster.
The Millennium Chef Smith, officially globally, is documented. There are no legalities or whatsoever. This is documented and it's a proof.
You want to stay for details with me, Maame, Nyamekye, Thompson. We are your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. This afternoon, government businesses at civil and local government offices across the country have grounded to a halt as the Civil and Local Government Staff Association of Ghana, CLAG, starts an indefinite industrial action to demand the implementation of an agreed new payment structure. The action, informed by government's failure to implement the new salary structure agreed since 2022. Executive Secretary of CLAG, Dr. Isaac Bampoado, said all efforts to engage relevant parties, including the Finance Ministry, National Labour Commission and Fair Wages and Salaries Commission since 2022 have been unsuccessful in forming the decision to strike.
Of nationwide strike in consonance with our letter number BA 15 volume 2 dated 21st June 2024 indicating our intention to proceed on nationwide strike if the new salary structure for the staff of the civil service and local government service is not implemented, we hereby declare a nationwide strike with effect from Wednesday, 3rd July 2024. All staff of the civil service and the local government service should stay away from work until further notice. Similarly, all cluster secretariat offices are closed. Kindly take note and comply accordingly. This is the decision that has been taken by our National Executive Council that we should go on strike. And it's only the National Executive Council that can reverse this decision. I cannot do it. So, please food for thought. It's only our National Executive Council that can reverse this decision. They took this decision. It is not us.
Are you honoring tomorrow's meeting?
Tomorrow's meeting with the Labour Commission, well, tomorrow morning when we wake up, we will decide whether we should honor it or we should not honor it.
Well, you heard the Executive Secretary of CLAG, Dr. Isaac Bampo Addo. Well, our team of reporters have been out checking the adherence to the strike order by members of CLAG here in Accra. My colleague Sweetie Abochi reports from the offices at the ministries.
CLAG yesterday announced that they would embark on an industrial action. They say that as of July 2022, a memorandum of understanding was reached for a new salary structure to be implemented from the 1st of January 2023. A year and a half down the line, that new salary structure has not been implemented, hence the need to embark on the strike. And true to their words, this morning we are here at the offices, and I count only 2 security personnel guarding the place, but nobody is here. And some vehicles have been branded with red cloth signifying the industrial action, but nobody and no activity is ongoing. Indeed, CLAG is on strike. We understand that there will be a meeting later on today with the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, but they haven't yet confirmed if CLAG will be there in that meeting. So this morning, this is the assessment of the situation. CLAG is on strike. There's no staff here in their buildings, in their offices. It's just 2 or 3 security personnel here guarding the place.
Well, we head to Kumasi where my colleague Nana Boachi Yadom is following events there for us. Nana, what can you report?
Well, Maame, here in the Ashanti region, we visited the enclave of government departments, and the strike in the Ashanti region is grappling with the consequences as essential services are paralyzed at some government departments amidst the CLAG strike. We did visit the office of the Department of the Controller and Accountant General, and when we visited the place, the office is branded with red as people seeking essential service over there are being asked to return. And so from the Ashanti region, the office or the Department of the Controller and Accountant General has really been impacted by the strike.
As CLAG, we are on strike, and it has affected the municipal because majority of the staffs here fall under the CLAG association. So we are not working here. You see us here, we are the executives, and we are here to make sure that those ones that also want to find their way here, we stop them from coming to do any work here, because we want the government to hear us and hear us well, so that we too will have a good condition of service that will make our life comfortable for us to be able to deliver good services to Mother Ghana. Our dreams, our vision is to deliver good services to our communities that we serve, and it's not for our good intention to send them away.
Meanwhile, the Executive Secretary for the National Labour Commission, Ofosu Asamoah, has described the strike as unfortunate.
Oh, it's quite an unfortunate situation we have on our hand, because prior to the strike, they gave us the notice of the strike. And having received the notice, we immediately acted upon it by intervening. So we wrote to the Office of the Senior Presidential Advisor, who is responsible for the negotiations that is going on between the CLAG and government. He has also responded to the letter, and the date has been fixed, which is tomorrow, for the hearing of the parties, that is CLAG and the Office of the Senior Minister, before the Commission.
Well, we understand the meeting with the NLC has just started, but my colleague Elton Broby joins me in studio with more on this. Elton, what are we learning?
So the NLC, they've managed to get members of CLAG to a meeting. The meeting just got underway,
right,
and NLC is simply seeking to get them to, call off the strike so that negotiation can continue.
Thank you so much, Elton Brobe. Well, joining me on the phone lines is ranking member on the Employment and Labour Committee in Parliament, Mr. Kwabena Donko. Mr. Donko, we're grateful for your time on the Midday News. I mean, these strikes have been one too many. What do you make of what's happening currently with CLAG?
Well, I believe CLAG has been involved in this for about 2 years, and government has not given the negotiations or the discussions the needed attention, the seriousness that CLAG expects. And I'm even surprised to hear the Executive Secretary of the National Labour Commission saying they have written to the senior presidential advisor. You see, the senior presidential advisor is not a minister. Even though in his narrative we just heard, he also used the term senior minister. He's not a senior minister. He's the senior presidential advisor. He's not a minister, and therefore is not accountable to Parliament. One would have expected that they will be dealing with the ministers of Labour Relations and Finance. So all these issues of governance complicate matters. But bottom line is that CLAG has a case that we cannot run away from. But we are also living in a very tight fiscal space. The fiscal space is extremely tight. The window is very small. CLAG and all other Ghanaians would appreciate the challenge if public expenditure was not seen to be welcome. If there was a hold on expenditure. Public expenditure is ballooning, and people see such waste in public expenditure. And so we are not sending the right message that, look, the fiscal space is tight, and therefore all stakeholders must appreciate the tightness of the fiscal space. Because of the ballooning expenditure and the wasteful nature of it, of course, you can no longer then tell somebody that you should hold on to some of your demands because of the fiscal space. So there is a need for a serious discussion of what is doable and what is not doable. But this discussion should be led by the executive arm, setting the right example, controlling expenditure, their own lifestyles, and their attitudes, reflecting the challenging times we are in. Until we do this, the strikes will not end.
We're grateful for your time here. Dr. Kwabena Donkor is ranking member on the Employment and Labour Committee in Parliament. Let's head to the courts now, where lawyer for Amanda Odoi is justifying an interlocutory injunction restraining Parliament from transmitting the bill to the President for assent or otherwise. His basis is that the bill, which is a private member's bill, will impose a charge on the public purse. He argues that per the dictates of Article 108 of the 1992 Constitution, Parliament is constrained. His view is that such a bill should have emanated from the President. The applicants, Amanda Odoi and Richard Sky, are challenging the Constitution of the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill. Ernest Ako is lawyer for Amanda Odoi.
If this application is refused, the applicant and every citizen of Ghana will continue to endure a flagrant and blatant violation of the 1992 Constitution, and the court cannot shut its eyes to such violation. But again, we contend that irreparable harm will be caused to all Ghanaians by the refusal of this injunction application. Assuming the bill becomes law. My Lord, indeed, even on 28 February 2024, when the bill was passed, people thought it had become law, and some members of a certain community suffered violence.
Well, the Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Godfrey Aboadame, says the Supreme Court must intervene in the matter.
And if there's a dispute, it is subject to determination of the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court's jurisdiction can be properly invoked to determine whether a person's discretion conferred by the Constitution has been properly exercised in accordance with the dictates or the demands or the provision of the Constitution by which the person is supposed to go by. Respectfully, quite recently, even the Abu Ramadan line of cases, the court asserted that even in relation to the Electoral Commission, which has absolute independence in the conduct of elections and the making of regulations, even the regulations that the Electoral Commission comes up with, subject to the determination by the Supreme Court as to whether it is compliant with the Constitution or not. So indeed, the firm point by the establish is that the opinion of the person presiding in Parliament does not confer on that person an unconstrained discretion.
Well, you heard there the Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Godfrey Adame. Legal Affairs correspondent Richard Kujunyanko joins me with the latest from the Supreme Court. Richard, has the court come to a decision on the application yet?
Well, Maame, no decision has been taken by the court. Currently on the floor is the lawyer for the Speaker of Parliament. But when we started, lawyer for researcher Amanda Odoi has been arguing the gist of his affidavit in support of the application for interlocutory injunction. He argues on three main grounds. The first one that they dwell so much on is the impropriety of a private member's bill that imposes a significant burden on the public purse. His main argument is that any bill that purports to place a charge on the consolidated fund should emanate from the executive, i.e. the president, and should not be a product of a private member's bill. So he opines that Parliament was caught by Article 108, and that constitutes a violation. And he says, despite the limitations placed on Parliament under that article, he proceeded to entertain the bill. So at this stage, the justices intervened and asked him to ask him some poignant questions. One, why should the court intervene with or interfere with the parliamentary business of transmitting a bill to the executive branch, a regular feature between the two arms of government? And the second one, what does the applicant not wait for the process to be completed before the court can be called into action to deal with the matter? So that is what we are being saddled with now.
Thank you so much. Richard Kujunyanko is with the latest from the Supreme Court. Well, the proceeding is live on Joy News and you want to catch that. Now, the race to win in the courtroom and the court of public opinion has been stepped by both the Attorney General and the defendants in the ambulance trial. The state is accusing the minority leader, Dr. Cassiel Atufosin, and the third accused, Richard Jakpa, of causing financial loss to the state and is praying the court to hand them punishment for the loss of over 2 million years. But both have pleaded not guilty to the charges. The court will come to a determination soon, but the competence or otherwise of the Attorney General, Godfrey Adame, is being questioned by Richard Jakpa.
It was all demonstrated as a clear sign of ineptitude and incompetence on the part of the Attorney General in presenting this case to the court. In fact, the evidence they brought were evidence that were very, very irrelevant. Attorney General came to court purely on political convenience and mischief.
Well, Deputy Attorney General Alfred Tuanyabwa has risen to the defense of his boss.
Mr. Jakpa gave his evidence in chief. He also confronted him to a side of the matter, and the judge definitely made the pronouncement. My brother is a lawyer. The Honorable Attorney General is an astute lawyer. He's a well-read lawyer, a revered lawyer. He knows his stuff. And so if he decides to say that he's a match fixer, I don't understand him. Go to the law reports, go to the Supreme Court of Ghana law reports, and look at the case that he's done at the time that he was in private practice. And from 2016 to date, I can say without any fear of equivocation that if you look at the ages that we have in Ghana, if it's not the best, he may be one of the best.
Meanwhile, Richard Jakpa has petitioned the Chief Justice alleging unfairness and abuse of his rights by trial judge in the trial, Ifya Sewa Boche.
Right from the beginning of this trial to today, I have not been treated fairly at all by the judge. And I'm saying that because I have written a petition to the Chief Justice on this. So I'm not speaking out of a vacuum. And it's recorded, it's documented. And when I wrote a petition to the Chief Justice and I enumerated all the instances of biasness, abuse of my human rights, denying me legal representation, and all the instances, and even the right to even visit the washroom.
And Richard Jakpa is the third accused in the ambulance trial. And now it's time for fact-checking. Today we are focusing on claims by the Finance Minister, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, on Ghana's IMF program under the previous NDC government. Head of our research desk, Raymond Akwa, joins me with more on the claims and verdicts. What exactly did the Finance Minister say, and what's the verdict?
The Finance Minister claimed that the NDC missed all the targets under the ECF with the IMF by 2016.
When they were under IMF program by 2016, they missed all the targets. So far, Ghana has become an example.
What's the verdict?
Now, from the IMF second review of the ECF document published in January 2016, there were 10 structural benchmarks in total to be met, out of which 5 had been met and the other 5 are standing. According to the third review of the ECF document published in October 2016, 7 of the structural benchmarks were slated to be met by June 2016, of which 2 had been met. Again, under the fourth review document, not all 6 structural benchmarks were missed. Even if you drill down to the indicative targets alone, that on contracting or guaranteeing of new external concessional debt was met. So it's not true that not a single target was met.
Thank you so much. Raymond Akwa is with our research desk, and you're still listening to the Midday News on Joe 99.7. We'll take a break and come back with sports, and later, with just 5 months to go before the general elections, the governing NPP says it is unfazed by some opinion polls that suggest the NDC's John Mahama will win the presidential election.
For me, if we are able to communicate our record, our achievements, even in spite of the challenge that we are going through, our records are far better than.
When budgets are tight and money difficult to come by, you want to be sure you get the best value for your money. These are not times to be spending money fixing expensive engine problems because of cheap fuel and lubricants. Drive to a petrol source station today and buy your quality fuel and lubricants, and rest assured of fuel that lasts long and lubricants that prevent expensive engine problems. Hear the sound. Petrosol, clean fuel in full quantity.
Welcome back. The sports team is here.
Yes, Maame. So Black Stars forward Mohamed Kudus believes his best is yet to come, despite a successful debut season with West Ham in England. The 23-year-old scored 14 goals and provided 6 assists for the Hammers in all competitions last season. His performance earned him recognition as the second best player at West Ham, as well as the Ghana Footballer of the Year award.
Before I even took the step, I knew I was ready for the challenge. That's why I went for it. So once I was ready, I knew what I expected from myself. And then, big ups to all the teammates and the people around my club. They really helped me to settle in as well. But I also put in the effort day in, day out, every single time. You know, it's a lot of games, tough games. It's a difficult league, but I still believe that I'm far from my abilities. You know, it's just the beginning, and it was good to announce myself in the first season. And we know it's going to get much tougher now. So I'm prepared for it as well.
Yep, so Kudus will work under former Real Madrid manager Julian Lopetegui, who replaced David Moyes for next season.
Thank you, Mubarak. Now, the Cement Manufacturing Development Committee is determined to take action against manufacturers who fail to comply with pricing requirements provided in the Trade Ministry's newly laid legislative instrument. Chairman of the committee, Professor Alex Dodu, on the Super Morning Show said the licenses of defaulting manufacturers will be revoked.
The pricing regulation focuses on ex-factory price, the determination, and the transparency in that. It takes away retailers who are also mandated to report, but the sanctions on them are very, very little. But for the manufacturers, your license can be revoked. It can be suspended if you do not report. And what I am pushing for, as chairman of the Cement Manufacturing Committee or the cement regulator, are 2 things: transparency in pricing and transparency in quality.
What do you want to know? That they tell you a price build-up and all the factors that go into the pricing, and if they tell you and you're unhappy with it, what will you do?
You publish it. When you publish it, January, all the companies are giving you their prices. February, they give you their price. You begin to see a trend. If the trend are in line with exchange rates, solely in line with exchange rates, you would see it, like we do for petrol.
So if it's not?
So the LI is clear. If they are not consistent, And it uses a very generic word. If we are not satisfied, we refuse it.
And now time for the election headquarters. Brought to you by Petrosol Clean Fuel in full quantity. CIMA, the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, AICP and CIMA together as the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants, also the German Ozone Medical Center, Alternative Therapy, Dental, Wellness and Beauty. Brought to you by Chopbox Technologies, a convenience service, and Youth Bridge Foundation, bridging gaps for positive youth development. Now, a recent poll conducted by Global Info Analytics has revealed that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the new Patriotic Party's flag bearer, is gaining significant support among first-time voters. This trend, according to the polling firm, indicates a shift in voter sentiment, especially among the younger demographic, as the 2024 election draws closer. Now, the poll, however, predicts victory for the NDC flag bearer, John Mahama, in the presidential race. He's leading Dr. Bawumia by 13%, but the NPP General Secretary, Justin Kodua Frimpong, isn't phased. He tells my colleague Elton Broby on the Pulse that the party's achievements will help him turn things around.
Number 7 polls. That would give us the real polls of who Ghanaians want to lead in the country. And mind you, I'm happy that Global Info Analytics see that there are changes in terms of what they brought earlier on in April. They pegged former President Mahama at 54.3. I'm not surprised that President Mahama, according to the survey, a percentage is coming down. And mind you, we are in what?
We are in July.
In July, first week of July. And to lose 3.2% percentage point from April to July. So in politics, is he peaking or is coming down ahead?
But if this is anything to go by, the gap between John Mahama and Dr. Bawumia is 13%.
For me, 13%
will be difficult to close and overtake.
No.
Looking at the time available, we've just 6 months, if you like, or less than 6 months to go for the elections.
Yeah, so you still have people who
and if it's taken 3 months to just drop him by 3%, and we've got 13% more to close that gap.
So if in 3 months the person has dropped 3.2%, in another 3 months the person dropped even 2%, does that make the person a winner?
And you're the NPP General Secretary in an interview with my colleague Elton Broby on the Pulse. Catch the Pulse today at 3 p.m. and a very interesting interview coming up. You don't want to miss that. Now, renowned educationist Professor Stephen Adey is questioning the motive behind government's quest to pass a free senior high school bill and describing the processes leading to the introduction of the draft document as weird. Since its inception in 2017, the NPP government has declined calls for a review of the policy. However, government instead believes that giving legal backing to the policy through a parliamentary bill will be the ideal approach. Let's listen to Professor Stephen Adey.
Are they saying that all the 7 years they have been illegal? So far, what is being said so that future governments cannot torpedo it. I don't think that is here and there. The same way you bought it, another government with majority can also change it. So I think that the free SHS is good policy, has to be attuned, and I don't think that any government would say now some Ghanaians should not have education.
Professor Stephen Adey there. Well, yesterday, July 2, 2024, Chef Ebenezer Smith held a press conference where he proudly announced that he had won the Guinness World Record for the longest cooking marathon. He even shared a certificate to prove it. However, an official from Guinness World Records, in an email to Joy FM journalist Kwame Datsi, confirmed that Chef Smith's claim was false and the certificate was fake. Adding to the drama, Chef Smith was arrested on the same day he made this announcement. Well, my colleagues Jacqueline and Maxwell joins me in the studio with more. Well, first, Jackie, where there was a news conference announcing the triumph, right?
Yeah.
Tell us more about that.
Well, yesterday he invited the press to Labadi to just tell everybody that he's officially been crowned as the newest record holder for the longest cooking marathon by an individual. Everyone was there, most media houses asking questions and all that. But then most media houses, the certificates looked a bit fake from the other ones that we've seen so far, unlike that of Ace Liam.
Mm-hmm.
So Kwame Dazi sent an email to Guinness World Record to confirm if indeed it is true. And this is the reply. It says that thank you for your message. No, this is not true at all. He does not hold the Guinness World Record title, and this is not our certificate. The current and true record holder is, and they mentioned the current record holder.
That's weird.
Yeah, very weird.
And the issue is trending on social media. Smith is trending right now on
Everywhere.
Twitter, and there are a lot of comments coming through. One of them says, when he first declared that he had won, some people said the stone the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. Now, Twitterati's are saying that no, the stone that the builders rejected has been rejected again. First rejected by Ghanaians and now rejected by the Guinness World Records. There's another one also here that says, so it says, oh, sisters, the Brotherhood was just kidding. Now, please don't abandon the office. Here, this Chef Smith Pa, you've disgraced Ghanaians.
I know, right?
Bold.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you so much. And then that's how we end the bulletin here on Joe 99.7 here in Accra. It was also live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi and over 30 affiliates in 16 regions of Ghana. I am Maame Nyamekye Thompson. Up next is Pastor Mensa Otabil with Living Word.